Hare Krishna, and welcome to Anartha-Nivritti in Action Bootcamp. So today we will start with the invocation with the prayers of Draupadi, because we will be speaking about Draupadi's prayers, Draupadi's surrender. Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murare, He Nath Narayana Vasudeva, He Nath Narayana Vasudeva, He Nath Narayana Vasudeva. Hare Krishna. So, yesterday, we spoke about the foundational principles of step 1, and they are, what is it? Anybody? What is the foundational principle of step 1? Hello, good morning. Wake up.
Powerlessness.
Yes, admitting powerlessness. We are powerless, but sometimes we don't admit it. So the foundation is admitting powerlessness. This is the basis of spiritual awakening, and we see in many pastimes, many stories, every philosophical explanation which has a story involved has powerlessness, and admitting that powerlessness is what led them to spiritual awakening. Then what's the connection? We've been trying to connect the 12 steps of recovery with our scriptures, Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. So there are Vedic scriptures that we are able to find the foundational principles to execute these 12 steps of Anartha-Nivritti recovery. So a little bit more recap from yesterday. Distractions, we spoke about distractions like addictions, distractions like addictions, overthinking, material desires. These may give some temporary relief, but in time, over time, because we are spirit souls, we are meant for a purpose, they deepen our suffering. So we saw how we saw Gajendra, he was trapped by the crocodile. Similarly, we saw the parallel of my mind, our minds being trapped. And Bhagavatam speaks about how an elephant, however big he is, when he's trapped by the mud, he's stuck. So the mind can go, one more next Netflix episode, maybe I'll feel better. The mind says, oh, let me chant later. Or the distractions, right? The mind is like, no, we'll do this, then we'll feel better. Let me eat one more cake, one more box of ice cream. But it may give a temporary relief, but then later on, we realize that these distractions did not remove my problem. It only delayed them. All right, am I recording this? Yes, okay. So the reality is that it does not remove. So it may give some temporary relief. We spoke about it yesterday, the illusion of escape, very important to understand. If I don't understand this and I try to just hit myself with a hammer of philosophical, scriptural things, it will not work. I need to understand that I'm looking for the temporary relief. Why I'm looking for the temporary relief? So that I can escape the pain. I'm in pain. And what is the pain? The pain is coming from my higher self that says, don't escape. Why are we escaping? Let me surrender to Krishna. Why not face the pain with Krishna's help? Oh, I want to escape. So that's a daily struggle, whatever our weakness might be, whether it's procrastination, delaying our studying, scrolling endlessly, binge eating, staying in toxic situations, toxic relationship patterns, codependency, whatever the weaknesses, whatever is the crocodile. What is your crocodile? So yesterday we touched upon that. Now, then we also spoke about the false freedom, the false sense of freedom that we experience. We want to numb through this distraction. So it's a false sense of freedom. But the truth is, the bright side is there is a true sense of freedom. And that's what we are trying to accomplish in our boot camp, in our meetings. Again, this is not a meeting. We need to hit the meetings. And meetings are a way to show to Krishna that I want recovery. All right, next is avoidance. We avoid sidestepping responsibility, justification, so on and so forth. These are all illusions of escape. Then the material bondage aspect, that's the deeper suffering emerges from all the attachments and expectations. So overthinking, leading to overthinking. Again, overthinking also may momentarily make me feel like I'm escaping the situation, right? But these are temporary solutions. So addiction and overthinking often offer momentary escapes, yet these temporary solutions only deepen. It only deepens my spiritual disconnection. Okay. And today, this is a very important day in our boot camp. We're entering into the waters of comparative analysis, looking at powerlessness from two glasses. One is the glass of Anartha, the 12 steps, another is a glass of scripture. So when we wear the two goggles together, then we get the bigger picture, we get the whole process of how this Anartha-Nivritti 12 steps works for us. Comparative analysis of powerlessness in Bhagavatam, Gita, and the recovery steps. So in Bhagavatam, in Gita, in beginning of Gita, powerlessness is not a defeat. Arjuna is not defeated when he's expressing it. And so in the 12 steps model also, similar to Bhagavad Gita, the surrender is considered as a catalyst, as a qualification, as the experiencing powerlessness, admitting powerlessness is a qualification to succeed in this program. So the mind may say, oh, if I'm admitting my powerlessness, it means I'm weak. I'm drowned, I'm done, I'm finished. But the reality is, from scriptural perspective, powerlessness is the first step towards surrender. True power in power of powerlessness. That's a whole scriptural perspective. So the higher self, we can see the higher self in analogies we will read about Arjuna, Gajendra, Draupadi. You'll see in the manual also, and when you do your 12 steps meetings. And today also we'll touch upon this briefly. So all of them, Gajendra, Arjuna, Draupadi, they found strength in surrender, not by their own strength. So the daily struggle may be for me, for us, trying to control family, trying to control my spouse, trying to control my other financial situation, trying to control other people's behavior. Look at it, journal about it, talk about it with your Saki. So recovery principles from 12 steps. Today we were looking at the pyramid here, and the bottom of the pyramid, yesterday we touched about it. What is it? Honesty. Honesty is the foundational principle of the 12 steps process. Honesty, acknowledging that limitation, acknowledging my weakness, acknowledging my whatever the mind's addictions are, and then acknowledging is not enough, and also needing the help. Of course, needing help comes in second step, but acknowledging help. But honesty is for all steps for the whole process of spiritual Anartha-Nivritti. Then the second step is these are very three things, okay? They'll come in your exam for those of you who want certification. What are the three things? Honesty, acknowledging our weakness and asking for help. Second is open-mindedness, or you can say hope, open-mindedness, believing in the possibility of recovery. All the scriptural injunctions says you do this and do that and don't do this, do that, which it means that we can do those things. That's why the scriptures are telling us to do those things. If we could not have done it, and if we are doomed to be unqualified and stay in our weakness and in our addiction, the scriptures will not say that you can do this and get out of this material world. So scriptures give us hope that, like Gajendra was saved, I can be saved as well. Then the third is who's that? Who's going to give me the answer? What's the third one? Honesty, open-mindedness, and the thing you can't buy on Amazon. Or anywhere. You can buy it anywhere. What is it?
Patience,
Mm,
perseverance.
mm,
Okay. Hmm. Pardon?
Beep, beep, beep. No, over.
Okay, I give up.
Willingness, the willingness to come to the meetings, the willingness to take these steps, the willingness to pick up the feedback, the willingness to study, the willingness. That's the most important. That's why it's on the top. Only after being honest and open-minded, only then willingness is given. That's the top of the pyramid. Trusting in Krishna, trusting, giving willingness to give the control over to Krishna. That willingness when Arjuna was able to choose Krishna over the Narayani Sena, right? That's willingness based on faith. Okay, you will never forget this, I hope. 3 things: honesty, open-mindedness, willingness. Next, powerlessness is required, and it's the beginning of spiritual recovery, spiritual journey, I would say. So it's not a weakness, it is a strength. It's a strength and not weakness. And it opens doors for Krishna to enter. If you see in the 11th canto, Krishna answers Uddhava and says, Uddhava asks, why you didn't go and help the Pandavas? They were suffering. They were losing everything. Why didn't you go? And Krishna says, I was waiting at the door. They didn't open the door. They didn't let me in. They didn't call me. So sometimes I'm struggling and I'm not calling Krishna in. I'm trying to do my own mental games and my own control games and the illusion of control and everything. So I'm not really allowing that. So the powerlessness is actually a great catalyst that actually gives us progress. Now, today, the 3 case studies of powerlessness we will touch upon. Number 1 is Arjuna. Arjuna's existential powerlessness. He, as a warrior, he was stuck on the battlefield. That's Bhagavad Gita. First chapters, we see powerlessness of Arjuna. And then is Gajendra's powerlessness. That's his bodily thing. But he was stuck with his body was stuck. Physical powerlessness. Where Arjuna's was existential, Gajendra's was physical. Then we have Draupadi. Hers is social powerlessness from Mahabharata. So we see her being socially in a very big predicament. This is Arjuna, right, in Bhagavad Gita. He says, Nacha shaknomi avastatum brahmati vacha me manaha nimittani cha pashyami viparitani keshava. So Arjuna is unable to handle it any longer. He's like, Krishna, I can't do this any longer. My mind is reeling. I can't. I'm collapsing here. This is becoming too much, Krishna. I cannot do this on my own. So that's the Bhagavad Gita first chapter where he admits that. And Gajendra also, right? And when he's like done with the struggle, Jijivishena hamiha muya kim antar bahishchavritaye bhayonya Ichami kalena nayasya viplavas tasyatmaloka varanasya moksham. Finally, right? Powerlessness. My dear Krishna, please release me, not just from the grip of the crocodile, but from this existence of this ignorance that's covering my body and my mind. So that part. And then, of course, we started a whole meeting today about Sri Krishna Govinda Hare Murare. He Anartha-Narayana Vasudeva. When Draupadi admits that you are my master, he had 5 great husbands. And even 5% of one of her husbands would be great for women today. But she had 5 husbands, and she realizes that He Anartha-Narayana Vasudeva, Krishna, you are that. So Arjuna's existential powerlessness, the context is that he's paralyzed by moral conflict on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And his experience is that of very deep emotional and psychological breakdown. We can relate to it. I can relate to it several times. No, the dilemma he experiences questioning his dharma. When he says, Vepatascha sharire me romahashascha jayate gandivam shamshate hastat tvakchaiva paridahyate. And so when Arjuna admits that my Gandhi was slipping from my hand, no, my body is all shivering. I can't stand here any longer. This is I'm having a huge collapse here. Complete breakdown, complete paralysis by analysis. because nobody's hitting him with arrows yet. It's not like Karna's arrow has hit his chest or his head or his arm. There's no arrows yet. But even before he even set foot and picked up, he couldn't even pick up his Gandivam Shramshate Hastat. The Gandhi was slipping. My hands are all sweating. My body is shivering. I'm shaking. It's the greatest warrior. Just that single emotional powerlessness led him there. And that's the beginning of his spiritual realization. All right. Then, so the parallel we need to see this will be when you study the manual, and you'll go through your meetings, and you'll go through your individual step work. Existential powerlessness, very relevant for us. Arjuna's paralysis on the battlefield is doubting his dharma, is a paralysis that many of us go through in our so many decisions in life. So Arjuna, when he starts, he actually confesses, right? The confesses like my body is frozen. I'm paralyzed. So in the whole first chapter is his confessions about how weak he is, how he is not able to even hold up his weapon. So very, very vulnerable, very vulnerable. So his struggle mirrors our own moral dilemmas. When I'm not able to hold up to my duties, struggling to maybe even cook. And then the husband or somebody may say, "What's your problem?" Because we are emotionally paralyzed. And then the confession, and in our sangha, sometimes we expect that to come in the Draupadi thing, but we expect people to understand us. So we have these emotional struggles. They are real. They really put us in strong dilemmas. So it mirrors this Bhagavad Gita first chapter mirrors the AA, the Alcoholic Anonymous program of when people stop drinking, they feel withdrawal. They don't know what to do. So Arjuna was kind of going through that denial. Like, what should I do? Should I not do? Oh my God, if I stop thinking, then what will happen if I do? Thinking causes paralysis. Stopping thinking causes withdrawal. So what do you do, right? So we admit that we are powerless and we need Krishna. Then comes the surrender. The surrender comes once I admit where I am struggling. And then when I admit that I can't handle this, my life is unmanageable. That's the beginning of manageability. So surrender is acknowledging my inability, acknowledging that I can't act alone. So mind may say, if I make a wrong choice, I'll be ruined. I can't just wait. I can't just ask Krishna to help me. But the reality is indecision is worse than action not without faith, right? Indecision, sorry. I mean to say, to make a wrong decision or to act even right things according to mine, but it is not aligned to Krishna, which is not with faith, is even worse. So sometimes the right action is to get on our knees and pray. That's not an inaction, it's an action. Chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is devotional service. It's not that I have to run around to do devotional service. So surrendering can happen even just in our mind. It's not about, I have to make the decision, I have to change this person. So feelings, I may feel stuck in my career, in my relationship, or in my path due to fear, due to whatever it is. So the best course of action is calling Krishna, like opening that door. All right. One more slide about Arjuna, okay? So in this Arjuna's story, the connections are very basic, right? Faith, the principle of faith, that he trusted that it's better to choose Krishna over the army. Faith, he had such faith, trusting Krishna's guidance is better than me having the Akshohini Sainya. Narayani Sainya, sorry. And then when I wake up in the morning, every day I have to choose between Krishna or Narayani Sena, Krishna or Krishna's energies. Should I connect with Krishna with full attention? I do my japa with forgetting everything else, giving everything, keeping everything aside, or start counting the soldiers and counting the army to try to prepare, I have to do this and I have to do that. And so that's an everyday battle to choose between Krishna's connection with Krishna or to my own plans. Then once I'm connected to Krishna, then Krishna's guidance, instruction can flow. So we have to be in connection to God. The union, perform action established in the yoga. Okay, so that's that. And then comes the alignment. Then alignment is surrendering to higher power. But I can't surrender to higher power without faith. It's not just oh, I surrender. Is it really there? That's why first 6 steps is truly getting ready for it. All right, Arjuna, I think we have got the picture. In your manuals, you will have more. As you go through the step work, you study a little more about Arjuna and reflect on your own work. Okay, let's see. Next is Gajendra. Gajendra's was physical powerlessness. He fights the crocodile for years. He relies on his strength. And only when he surrendered, only when he says, okay, Krishna, only then that the mercy comes. So that he was trapped. And then that entrapment, it represents a crocodile, the elephant caught by crocodile is me caught by my own mind's things. We looked at it yesterday. And then the prolonged struggle, fighting without any success. Then comes the, after prolonged struggle, then comes the realization, I can't do this. So physical strength, Gajendra's parallel is physical strength, my physical struggle, exhausting all my resources, all my powers. Physical struggle is analogy there. Sometimes maybe we experience that with health. Radical surrender. Krishna, I surrender. What? I need your guidance. Then total admission of helplessness. Okay, so that's Gajendra's thing. The principle again, the hope. There's hope in him. The Krishna. I mean, the principle of 12 steps is Krishna can help us when we need, if we call him. Krishna can rescue. He responds to sincere prayers, not only. And then the alignment is grace comes when self-reliance fails. My God, that was such a hard thing for me to do. It was so hard to admit that. So I have to reach that point. I can't start recovering unless I come to that point. Why Krishna is not responding? Because it's still self-reliance. That's why it's not responding. All right. ಬಾಗಿ ಬಳುಕಿ ಬಿಕ್ಕಿ ತನ್ನ ಕಣ್ಣ ನೀರು ಸುರಿಸುತ್ತಲೇ ಮಾಗಿಯ ಕೋಗಿಲೆಯಂತೆ ಕಾಯನಲವೂತ ಆಗ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ನಂಗ್ರಿಗಳನ್ನು ಅಂತರಂಗದಲ್ಲಿ ನೆನೆದು ಸಾಗಿ ಸಾಗಿ ಹೆಜ್ಜೆ ನುಡುತ್ತ ಸಭೆಗೆ ಬಂದಳು. ವೀರಕರ್ಣ ಅಶ್ವತ್ಥಾಮ ವಿದುರ ಶಲ್ಯ ಭಗದತ್ತರು ಕ್ರೂರ ಕೌರವ ದುಶ್ಯಾಸನ ಗುರು ಹಿರಿಯರು ಸಾರು ತಿಪ್ಪ ಭಟರು ಪರಿವಾರ ರಾಹುತರ ನೋಡಿ ಧಾರುಣಿಗೆ ಮುಖವ ಮಾಡಿ ನಾಚಿ ನಿಂತಳು. ಚಂದದಿಂದ ದುರ್ಯೋಧನ ಚತುರೇ ದ್ರೌಪದಿಯ ಕಂಡು ಮುಂದರಿಯದೆ ಮುಗುಳು ನಗೆಯ ಮಾತನಾಡಿದ. ಹಿಂದೆ ಸ್ವಯಂವರದಲ್ಲಿ ಐವರಿಗೆ ಆದ ಬಾಲೆ ಇಂದು ಎನ್ನ ಪಟ್ಟದರಸಿಗೊಪ್ಪಿದೆ ಎಂದನು. Oh my God, such a humiliating situation for Draupadi. She's there in the presence of all the great warriors, great husbands and everybody. And Duryodhana is insulting her socially. He's asking her to come and be his queen. Anyway, you have 5 husbands. Take me now. Come sit on my lap. Oh my God, you know, that realization of Draupadi. She was a goddess, okay? She wasn't even like an ordinary human being. She's born of fire. And then her surrender shows how Krishna was able to like miraculous protection. So sometimes this is my strong, I really like Draupadi for this thing. I'm planning to prepare a booklet before the Draupadi presentation. So my mind, right? My mind, I need others to validate me. I need others to validate me. I need validation. This is a huge addiction, and it can be very detrimental for spiritual progress. One of you also commented in the talk yesterday is like, why am I doing this service? Am I doing it for validation or am I truly doing it for Krishna? This is such an important motivation check. Then the reality is, the mind may say, I need validation. Reality is people are not my saviors. And we can see in Draupadi's example, only Krishna can upload my dignity. And no amount of validation is sufficient because that hole, the black hole I'm experiencing in my heart can only be filled by Krishna. Seeking approval from others is not going to fill that. Even getting approval from others is not going to fill that space because that black hole can be filled only by the blue boy, Krishna. So finding that self-worth. All right. Then Draupadi is a 12-step principle we see in action is how she, what is happening? Can you see my slide? Yeah, desperate plea. And then she was attached to Krishna. And there was therefore a miraculous response. And that can happen to us also, miraculous responses. Okay, next. So powerlessness leads to divine rescue. Whether it's Gajendra, Draupadi, they were not saved by the strength, but saved by Krishna. And if mind may say, if I let go, I lose everything. And then the reality is letting go is what makes space for Krishna to come in. And it brings unexpected solutions. So Krishna's grace works beyond logic. Yeah. So fearing that loss, I experience that almost every day. Fearing loss. If I surrender control, what'll happen? But the truth is, what'll happen is there will be peace. There will be alignment to Krishna. That's what will happen. Oh, Krishna, Krishna. All right. I think I don't have time for these already. It's almost time. So I'm just going to skip these slides, but they are available if you want to take a look at it later. But again, recognition of limit. For Arjuna, it was moral paralysis on battlefield. For Gajendra, it's physical entrapment in water. For Draupadi, it's social vulnerability in court. And so the common thing is all of them experience that point of surrender. So it's not only the struggles, but it's the surrender. All right. So I think I should end here. And if you have any questions, I still have some more 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 more slides here, but we don't have time for this. We'll touch upon this in the step 2 or step 3. Okay, step 3, we will touch again about divine surrender and all that. Okay, so I'm going to stop here. Do you have any comments or questions?
Mataji, can I ask a question?
Yes,
Me and Pankaj Radha Mataji were going back and forth today over step 3, I believe we were reading, and about powerlessness. And she got into some accident because of which she couldn't do her service this week. And so she was commenting that, I was thinking that I'll do this and that, but I was not taking into picture that it is Krishna's will that's supreme, and I have to think like that. And that got me thinking that my understanding was that we only think like that about material things, but should we think like that about spiritual things too? Or should we always be positive about spiritual aspirations and desires?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Let me ask you a question. Manjari Mataji, is this pen material or spiritual?
Depends on how you use it.
Really?
Right?
Really? So you answered the question.
Okay.
See,
So
what is
sure.
spiritual? Okay, you take a potato, you buy a sack of potatoes, I peel them, I cook them. Is that spiritual or material?
That's
What is it?
spiritual because I'm
How?
offering it to Krishna.
I have not offered yet. It's just there. It's just a potato.
Okay.
See, what's the difference between a non-offered potato and an offered potato? Looks the
Nothing.
same.
Yeah.
It looks the same exactly. But it's very different, right? If I offer you potato goranga on Ekadashi too, Mataji, this is not offered and this is offered. Which one will you pick? You're starving and hungry.
I'll pick the offered one.
Yeah, so you look the same. So the point is the consciousness. So spiritual or material is not a geographical thing. It's not based on whether it's matter. It's based on whether I have to wash. What does service mean? You're washing the pots. You can wash your pots at home also. You can go wash your pots in your neighbor's house also. You can do whatever the spiritual devotional service activity it is. You can still do it. You can still do it. But what makes it spiritual is not your physical effort. It's your consciousness. It's your intention. It's your bhakti that makes it spiritual. Otherwise, a potato, which is you can call it bhakta potato or potato dasa. What is the difference? So it's not the spiritual world is also not a geographical thing. And similarly, devotional service is also not an action-based thing. Devotional, for a reason, it's called devotional service. The secret factor, the secret ingredient is devotion. So when you say, does it apply to spiritual? Well, spiritual is devotion, it's in your mind, it's your consciousness. If you want to serve Krishna, you want to do it in a specific way, that's between you and Krishna, whether he allows you to do it in that way or he'll make you do it in another way. It's all rasa, right? But in philosophy, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. Those same things without Krishna is just mundane music, mundane talk, mundane dancing, mundane, like I said, washing pots, mundane cooking. But what makes it spiritual is thinking of Krishna, putting Krishna in the center. So I would say in the tattva aspect, whether I'm sitting down at home writing Hare Krishna, we have these books that we give for temple foundations. We write the holy name, or I'm just sitting and chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. It's also devotional service. So it's our mind that creates the difference between, like I said, it's complex. Why do I want to go to the temple and do it? Because there are many complexities involved. Why I'm more enthusiastic to run to the temple, drive there and all the passion and I want to do those things and because there are people involved, there's action involved. Why am I not having the same level of enthusiasm to just sit down for 2 hours, full focus and chant? Because I lack sattva-guna. So the chanting Hare Krishna alone at home is no less devotional service at all. But there are many levels and layers of gunas that color me. What will they think? I may lose the service, and all that is self-will. What will they think if I don't do this? Oh, I like doing it. And do you also like chanting? I mean, I'm asking myself. I ask myself. Like I'm more like, for example, if I have to be in time and I have to do this presentation, I put my energy, I prepare the PowerPoint, but then when sometimes it's not the same and I want to study by my own or chant on my own, maybe the same level is not there, then that's Anartha-Nivritti. I need to take a look at why. So that's true devotional service, to look at our intentions and see where is my struggle coming from. Why is it that for certain actions, I consider it devotional service, but being nice to whatever, being nice to my husband or being nice to my child or being forgiving, why is that not devotional service? It is very much so. Why is like my husband often asks me that I'm always nice to everybody and sometimes not to him. So, so he is like, you're so nice and so available to everybody. Why not? So they say charity begins at home. So seeing him as a devotee, being of service to him in the mood of a devotee, his devotional service. So for Krishna, I'm sitting down with a broken leg or broken arm and I'm chanting, or I'm running around the temple. Everybody knows I'm doing something. For him, it doesn't matter. He only cares about churning the butter in the heart where I'm feeling helpless and I'm sad that I miss him. Hey Radhe Vrajadevike Chalalite, Hey Nanda Suno Kuta. I'm lamenting, where's Krishna? When will I see him? When will I embrace him? When can I touch him? When can I feel full, pure love? That's all he cares about. He does not care about, he is very happy. Atmaramaschamuna, he's very happy in his own spiritual abode, not touched by anything material. So the concept of what is devotional service, what is not, is a huge, how do you say, processing that I need to do for myself. What are the things I consider service? What are the things I consider not service? Why is that more important to me? When I consider the why, usually it ends up in rajasic things. I'm gonna stop this meeting for a live and we'll continue a little bit discussion privately because I'm gonna share something confidential.
Thank